Okay, so welcome back everyone to the Integral European Conference. And in this workshop, Transformational Connection, John Thompson is going to take us into a very experiential session. So I'd first like to introduce John. He's the co-founder of Circling Europe, which is a well-known organization which has helped steward the practice of circling in over 30 countries and trained and certified around 600 circling leaders over the last decade. And alongside John Wilkinson, he has originated the 5 principles of circling and surrendered leadership. So John is also an integral master coach and a master NARM facilitator. And he previously ran integral tennis and authored award-winning integral papers. So we're going to witness John's kindness and empathy that are equal to his fierce heart and his passion and commitment to get the truth and desire to help people integrate all parts of us. So just to make sure, this workshop is going to be recorded. So if you choose to share something or ask a question, you're also giving your consent to be part of the replay. And I'll also like to introduce to you Claire, who's our tech host. If you have any technical problem, please send a message in the chat to Claire. I'm Miriam, your facilitator, and I'll be taking a look at questions in the chat if some are coming up. So over to you, John.
Thank you. It's really good to be here, and yeah, welcome to all of you. Thanks for showing up. I'm having quite an interesting experience. It reminds me of when I've presented in the integral conferences before, like something starts happening in my legs that's like half terrifying and half exciting, and it makes me realize like how deep integral theory is in my roots, and how deep the conferences, both the European and the integral conference that used to run in America, like what a big part of my roots it's been and how much it means to me. So I'm super thrilled to hopefully share something that's of value to you, and share a bit of my path with integral and with this practice called circling, which you're going to get a taste of today. And the idea of transformational connection, which is what kind of circling has really taught me and shown me, this possibility that every connection with anyone you meet holds this potential for waking up and for growing up and for deep challenge and for alchemy and for ease and peace. And it kind of happened, like I got into integral 15 years ago and was pretty obsessed and read like 6 Wilbur books in 6 months and just couldn't stop talking about it. It was like giving integral books to everyone, and most people were just like not really reading them or not super inspired. And then I discovered this circling practice, and it was like I started to join the dots with kind of the basics of integral theory, and then like, oh, this circling, which was about like how we can relate to people in the present moment. And I suddenly started to get this like, oh my God, like we can apply integral and be integral in the way that we relate to people. And that's that like every perspective has some gold in it. So every person has something of value, has a unique perspective to bring to the world that can bring me to my knees, essentially. And at the same time, they're only seeing part of the picture, and like discernment is required. And the way that we can bring discernment in this kind of embodied, connected way is that you bring your in the moment truth. Like you share what's alive for you and bring that in the connection, and you kind of surrender to what that's going to lead to, which makes it kind of a spiritual practice. And that, it just, the dots joined in me. It was like, wow, so every every connection I have, I can show up more, I can be myself more, I can be curious about their world. And it just gave me this excitement to, felt like, go from this mind space of beautiful integral theory into this embodied, connected place of a whole lot of anxiety and fear, but kind of confidence that I could get somewhere with it as well. And that led to a lot of shifts in my life of just being myself much more deeply, and like showing the uncomfortable, vulnerable places that were hidden before, and then actually seeing my reality, like my reality kind of start to constellate around that, and having things happen in my life that were not kind of on my radar. And that's continued as I've gone with this. Like, we, after a few years of deep practice together with the other co-founder, we started sharing it, and there was something about the fact that we had done this practice together like most nights for a few years, that when we led workshops, people could feel that there was a kind of realness and an authenticity and a kind of letting go into what was going to emerge between us. So I think it's time to give you guys a little practice, if you're up for that. I think an easy way to think about circling is it's like a Vipassana style meditation that you then extend into the mystery of the connection with someone else. So the idea is that you start to bring consciousness beyond yourself to then include the other person in this meditative way, and to be curious about how the connection is, and to bring consciousness to what's alive between you, and maybe what's shared, or what feels connected, or what doesn't feel connected, and just to shine a light on that. So I'll put you into pairs, and just for the first when you first come in, just take a bit of time with yourself. So it's a chance to go into your own meditation, just to like, so for me now, like, I start to shiver as I actually feel what's in me. So you get a bit of time when you come into the room to just notice what's present in you. And then after 20 seconds or so of doing that, open your eyes and bring your attention to your partner. And then think of it like you're then extending your meditation to include this other being in front of you on a computer screen. And just keep tracking your experience. Like, maybe you don't notice anything different when you come into contact with this other person, or maybe all kinds of fireworks start going off inside of you, or whatever it is. It's like, it's a chance to be with yourself intimately in whatever it's like for you to be with this person. And then you can start to play just in silence. So all of this is in silence. Then you can start to play with, like, what happens if you put your attention a bit more on them? Like, do you feel a connection with them even though you haven't said anything to them yet? Or does it feel really disconnected? Like, and then you come back to yourself and like maybe give yourself some love of whatever's arising in you. Like, can you welcome it anymore and it be okay? And then after about 3 minutes of this, I'll send you a message, and then you can just share with each other how the experience was. Just let each other know, what your kind of trip was in those 3 minutes of exploring yourself in connection. Are there any questions? Maybe type them I think yeah. Yeah, so the first 3 minutes is totally in silence. And then once you get the message through, then you can share how it was. So you do need your video on if you want to take part in this. Ready to go? Okay, I'm gonna. There might be one group of 3, but probably not. I think we should fit. Annika, are you able to bring your video on? Yeah, great. Would you like to join?
Is there any extra people? I can just stay here. Oh, there is one in room 12. Let me join room 12 then.
Okay, great.
I'll do it myself.
So I wanted to give something. That was what I wanted to say. Okay, sorry for making that so complicated. I mean, chaotic. So thank you very much.
Could you share how that was for you in the chat so that we can, in the written chat, so that we can get a sense of how people found that?
Yes, I would like to share. So at the beginning, as soon as I managed not to think about what is the other person thinking or what will I tell afterwards, it felt to me as if our energies were mingling, and there was like a potentiation of energy. There was more, and I felt like double or like intermingled with her. And I think Miriam, she how she said she felt the same. Yeah, that she even said that it was as if we were one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
John, I got a question. If I'm sensing into the other person, would there be someone to go to for the other person? You know what I mean? If with my consciousness, I'm with the other one and just sensing there, would there actually be someone to go to for the other person?
I think that's something you could inquire into in that connection. Like that's the kind of thing you could explore.
Yeah. Okay.
And that this kind of in the moment feedback where people are just sharing their experiences, it can really, yeah, give us insights like that, because sometimes we might be losing ourselves actually to go to the other, and suddenly it's like, wow, I've just parked this part of me in the background. But other times that might be an expression of you being in your fullness, that you're really present with them.
I was just thinking, if you had experiences, like if you're trying to sense into someone and you can't feel anything and you're wondering why that is, and you might have come up with, yeah, you weren't there because you weren't with me or something like that. But it was just, I thought you had maybe some experience with that.
Yeah, it just feels like such a complex dance all the time to explore. Yeah.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I found it so amazing, the insight, how important eye contact is, because Gellert has the camera somewhere else. And so I never had the impression that I could see him. And I felt like a child. How can I reach him? How can I reach him? How can I reach him? That was amazing. I was never aware in this, how important that is, to look into each other's eyes.
For me, I felt that it was in the beginning, I never opened my eyes for my meditation, but then in the beginning, in my hands, they were extended and my palms were facing upward. I felt a lot of, I guess, nervous energy, or I'm not sure if it was nervous, but then it was just vibrating very highly within kind of where my forceps are. And then like, I didn't know what to do with that energy because it was just like rattling around. So then that made me want to kind of extend my hands so that that energy could kind of disperse itself and then elongate and then kind of condense into something more subtle so that the energy within the connection could kind of be discharged in a way, and then the fullness of expression could be consolidated, I guess. I'm not sure if I'm using the right words for it, but then I don't know, it's amazing how even though we're all in distant parts of the world, that ability to connect to and be present for each other extends beyond that. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I want to get you into another practice because it seems like a lot of you are having rich experiences and playing, and it makes me want to put you back into a new practice. And this practice will be very similar. It'll start in the same way. So you'll have a minute to first, well, maybe spend 10-20 seconds just with yourself, then come into contact with your partner and just include them in your meditation for about a minute. And then the practice is to basically share what's present for you in the most Zen-like, clear, truthful, basic, simple way. So already it feels like there are some kind of transpersonal experiences happening between you, which is awesome. And that's why I've dedicated my life to circling, because of all those kind of transpersonal, magical things that emerge. And kind of paradoxically, our practice is very much like, it's kind of quite humble in really just saying like, this is what I know to be true in my experience now. There isn't really, like, it's not for discussion. We call this owning our experience in circling. It's one of the 5 principles. It's just let people into what's in your experience in the here and now. So who knows how much you're sensing them or anything, but just like, it's just being transparent about where you are right now. And then without having to explain it or even understand what it means or anything. And then your partner, as the partner, you just listen to that. Maybe it shifts something in your experience, maybe it doesn't. And then whenever you want to share what's alive for you, you can. But the practice is to try and do it in the cleanest, shortest way. So it's not conversational. It's just, yeah, I'm excited right now. My legs are buzzing. I'm happy to be here with you all, which is true for me right now. And that's it. And then just leave it into the space. And then maybe there's silence for a while. And then the next person just shares. any questions on this? Welcome back. Again, if you'd like to share in the chat below how that was for you, so that we get a taste of your trip, your journey. It's really nice being here with you all. I just feel a lot of excitement in the way that you're all engaging this, and from what I'm reading, it's feels awesome.
It seemed so fast. Was it really 7 minutes?
People often are upset with how quick that one ends.
Yeah, we just started to play when you shut us off.
Sorry. So these two practices are some of the like fundamentals or basic practices within circling, which is a whole host of practices, but these are quite kind of primary. And then the next piece is something that it always opens my heart, and I'm always just grateful for it as a practice, because it kind of structures me into reality in a way, seeing clearly, seeing with love, seeing with innocence, seeing in a sacred way, potentially. And the practice is what we call circling someone, is a practice of being with someone in their world. And this is the idea of, from integral, of like, yeah, there's something to integrate here, or there's a unique perspective. And the more perspectives we can take into account, the more fuller, loving, compassionate people we are. So when we circle someone, it's a chance, opportunity to really deeply integrate someone's perspective. Like, that's the integral map of this practice. And from a more down to earth, perhaps, or a more sacred way, it's a chance to honor someone incredibly deeply and see them as they are, which I believe is seeing with love and seeing with innocence. And the being with part, the being with part is that you get to use yourself as an instrument in this. So even though you're deeply being present to someone else's world, to try and relate to it, to try and get it, to try and sense it and feel it, you use yourself as an instrument. So you're being there with them. So to make this, obviously there's a whole art to this practice, but to kind of give you a simple structure, it's either you're inquiring into what their experience is like here and now. So it's like, what's it like to be you right now? Or what's happening for you right now? And then maybe they say they're sad. And then you could inquire further, like, oh, what's the sadness like? Is it like grief, or how is it for you to be sad? Like, so you can just explore more of what's happening for them in the present moment. That's like one move. And then the second move that you can make is, oh, when you said that, I noticed a rush of excitement through me, or I noticed, like, wow, there's some fear in me and excitement. But then go back to them, like, how's that for you to hear? So you're showing up with, if something happens for you in connection when you're circling them, like, you bring that in, and that's welcome. Like, whatever's arising in you is welcome. We we're coming from the presupposition that we're already interconnected. So whatever's arising in you is welcome. And then it's to bring it back to the person who's being circled. Like, yeah, how's it for you to be with me when I'm like this? And then maybe you follow that thread. And it's all present moment based, like the last few practices have been. So in this practice now, one of you will circle the other for 5 or 6 minutes, and then we'll change over. And it's a chance to, yeah, I hope you can take my structure in a way that's useful for you, but also like really let yourself sink in and follow your own artistry in how you want to be with this person in a profound way to really see them. So when you come into your pair, one of you just raises your hand and you're the person who's going to receive the attention and be circled. And then the other one, take your time to attune to yourself. A bit like with the other practices, just give yourself time to connect to yourself and then maybe come into connection with them. And then the opening question could be, what's it like to be you right now? Or maybe you share what's alive in you and then come back and check in with them.
Who's asking? The one who's circling or the one who's receiving?
The one who's circling is asking. And for the one who's being circled, there's nothing that you need to do. So this is just an experience for you. The chances are you're going to respond to questions, but it's totally your space. It's there, and the other person is there to be with you in your world the best they can.
So A is being circled now.
Sorry?
I'm a bit confused. The person who raised the hand is being circled.
Exactly, yeah.
So, and it is B who asks the question and invites for us to hold the space.
Exactly.
Good.
And then after 5 or 6 minutes, I'll give you a minute's warning, and then you'll change and just the same thing the other way around.
Okay. John, and is the one who is doing the circling gives feedback or gives some kind of comment to the other person that I feel you are, I don't know, sad now or you are happy now or
Yeah, that's totally allowed. And the kind of golden rule with that is to really make sure you check.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't know if you're being like the most intuitive person ever, or you're totally projecting your own stuff on them. It's like holding that not knowing, so that you could really share what you're sensing, but then like, yeah, does that land for you? Mm-hmm. Does that fit for you? What's it actually like? Yeah, so that they can fill it in.
Okay.
I got the invitation and then like just didn't do anything, but just was transported here. It was a bit strange. So it's literally cut off our circle.
Maybe it was just so that we could say hi to each other.
Oh no.
It was cut off for me. I just got here. I don't know why.
Yeah, you were done very quickly, Olof.
I didn't press it. I just ended up here. And
doesn't matter.
The others are coming now. Again, would love to hear any shares in the chat. Oh. Yeah, someone says this was more difficult. There is a there's a real art to it in it. It typically involves more revealing of yourself than if you're coaching someone or if you're a therapist or a facilitator. It's nice to see all these human shares. Yeah, it's like some of the insights that can, personal insights that can come up, can be so deep. And then like me and Claire were just circling together a little bit in the breakout, and then there was just this intimacy that came up that's so, for me, so nourishing. And it's this idea of transformational connection or transformational intimacy that's what this practice is about and what I'm inspired by and hoping that you're getting a bit of today. Just going to catch up on what some of the shares. We do this practice with, say, a group of 6 to 8 people for maybe 30 minutes, where one person is the center of attention from the whole group. And there's a leader who's trained in holding that space. And that's the kind of, you got the mini version of that. It's called a birthday circle. And it's quite a thing to experience at some point in your life. And obviously there's other modalities that do similar kinds of things, but it's quite unique in this being with, like, not like if I'm leading and I want to coach the person, which I often do, then I've got to own that. It's like, I really feel this desire to coach you. How's that? And normally that opens up something way more rich for me. That's like, why would I want to coach them when I can, like, see their soul in this particular way or something like that? I like this practice to kind of hold me in. It like holds me to have to keep looking deeper and meeting people more deeply and showing up myself in the connection deeply. So that's one of the main practice forms. And then there's another practice form that we in Circling Europe it emerged in a workshop years ago, and it took us a few years after that to name the practice, and we named it Surrendered Leadership. And that was when, like, we as leaders, we were leading a weekend and we had done a lot of birthday circling, and rather than just follow the plan to keep doing the circling, we just looked at each other, and there was something palpable in the space that had us, like, feel that we needed to surrender as leaders as well. And there was this kind of knowing that we're leading this, but we're just a part of this collective if we're deeply honest. And that by us surrendering it, our sense was that it allowed a deeper collective intelligence, or it allowed a deeper emergent space. And the context for that practice, as we kind of wove it together over the years, was that, like, everyone's invited to take their own leadership in the space, but also to surrender deeply in the space, like to surrender to what's arising in you, to surrender to each person within the circle, and to surrender to something that's beyond all of that. I'm torn between just staying in that kind of space between us now, or breaking you out into mini groups so that you can kind of be in an emergent space together and practice some of the basics that you've kind of explored today. But it's quite a thing when there's a group like that's in presence together, and like everyone's got themselves in a way and is curious about what's going to come through, and takes whatever does come through, takes that as an opportunity to like, oh, what's my leadership in relation to this? What's my self-leadership? What's my inspiration? And then this practice gets closer to real life in a way. It's like, are we still in a workshop, or is this just normal life? And there's a paradox in it. I would like to put you in groups of 4. And there are more principles. So there is like a backdrop of principles in circling that you can always use. And some people like live by them. Other people love circling, but they don't pay that much attention to the principles. But I invite you to go into a space of 4 and maybe go into your own meditation again, and then slowly from there, like look out to these other people. So it's a chance for you to meet these people, but meet yourself, and not to go through the motions of what it is to just chat with others. It's like be in practice with these people. And my experience of that is it can take me to hell and back, but it's so worth it. So I invite you to be in a space of emergent practice together. Bring your love, your heart, your truth. Be brave. And I'll see you in 6 or 7 minutes. I'm longing for some shares again to get a taste of the richness I imagine's just happened.
Miriam, would you mind finishing what you started? Because I'm really curious. That was the essence of the whole.
Yeah, so for everyone, we were sitting basically in silence until, I don't know, 1.5 minutes before the end. And so my automatic reaction is to smile, and I did not, as we were sitting there in silence. But then there was this, checking in with myself, noticing that I'm connecting to you, and then all of a sudden my smile was just authentic, like it was a heartfelt smile, and I could see all your faces light up, almost like we were starting to be in sync rather than social.
When we did these workshops and we did this practice a lot, by the end of the weekends, we would get the sense that like a collective intelligence was emerging. Like someone starts like, oh, I need, like my back's hurting, and like someone was already coming from the other side of the room, like to touch their back, or like everyone's either a healer or being healed, something like that. And we were like, wow, collective intelligence. And we had never kind of been interested in that before, but it's like, oh, it kind of emerges. And then more recently, I've been running kind of collective intelligence experiments, which are, it's kind of applying that theme more directly. And it's this idea that like collective intelligence is already at work. It's already, that's more like the turquoise lens on it. It's like, it's here now, like there's aliveness, like each of our individual life forces is kind of like already connecting to each other in certain ways. And I want to open the space for some minutes just to be together and like, you know, what is the collective intelligence that's here? What wants to be spoken? What's unique here?
For me, I think it's all the exercises we did now. It has something very healing and soothing, and I feel very humbled and like I don't know if I take the right words. It's not my mother tongue, English, but I feel very thankful for you people who just open up and bring in what you can bring in at this stage, at this moment, what's possible. And also very thankful for those who say, okay, I feel like certain barriers, and this complete openness and this trust and this I grew up in an environment where people pretend to be somebody, and I was conditioned to conform and pretend, and yeah, I probably like everybody of you as well. And so it's really it's for me, it has something incredibly healing, that I just can do this and be seen, and I don't know, something like that.
I have the feeling that there is something in our collective presence that wants to heal each other, that wants us to just kind of hold each other through pain and allow us to blossom. And that's very touching for me to feel. So thank you for all of you. And thank you for holding that, John.
I felt a lot of joy today, and it was fun. And one of the funniest things that I feel like calls to share is that at the second exercise, the first person was supposed to raise their hand. And as soon as I entered the room, I waved hello without thinking I would want to raise my hand. So I was just waving, and then I realized I suddenly signed up for something I didn't even plan to sign up for. And it was so beautiful how my body was just doing stuff and the magic happened. So I'm glad to have had this fun and profound transformational room here today.
there anything you want to say to close, John?
Thank you very much for this opportunity to experience this different way of being with others. It really left a lot of experiences to digest.
Yes, thank you very much, John. And could you please answer quickly the question from Olof in the chat? He writes along. Did you see it?
About not following the circling instructions in the right way.
Yes.
That feels like either a paradox or a dialectic that's central to the practice, I guess, or just realizing that you're constantly surrounded by these dialectics. Like, hang on, I don't really feel I need to follow this practice. I'm just being with another human. And or like, oh wow, this practice is really useful. I need to remember that and do that next time. And there's something about finding myself in these dialectics or polarities or paradoxes all the time that it's kind of a pointer to wake up and be here alive in the moment.
Yeah, by the way, Johnson, how can we help you in any ways, and how can we get in touch with you and your work?
Yeah, Claire was going to share the website circlingeurope.com. It's been we've been going for 8 or 9 years, and we've had a real wild ride spreading this practice around the world, and it has touched thousands and thousands of people. And you're super invited to come and do any of our workshops or trainings, or we do lots of free intros as well. So anyone you think might be interested, it's all on our website. And we do all kinds of different trainings, facilitator trainings, and but now I'm more present to a sense of grace being with you all. Peace.
Thank you, John, very much for this beautiful session, for the awesome practice that you introduced us to. So if you want to keep in conversation, don't forget we have our Facebook group. Thank you, Claire, for being the tech host of this session. I will now launch a poll for you to let us know how you like this session. Please click and participate. We will now have a lunch break in this conference. So if you want to join the lunchroom, you will find the details on our website. And this afternoon at 4 p.m. Central European Summertime, we'll have Charles Eisenstein, Making Sense of Sense Making, and then Alan Crooms, The Coming of the Indigo Being. So if you want to share a round of applause, please unmute yourself. And yeah, if there are any burning questions left, let us know in the Facebook group. Thank you very much, John. It was just
John.
Thank you. It was beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
everybody.
much.
And thank you, everybody I met.
Thank you.
All the people, and John, good to see you again.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
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 What a wonderful being we've become.
And thank you, Istvan.
Thank you, Bibi. Bye.
Thank you, Jan, for that point about the dialectics and paradox. Like, right. I have to follow the rules. What rules? Be here. Like, what?
Great to have you here, Hannah, as well. Felt very sweet.
Yeah, finally I made it into a session with you. Yeah. Won't be my last.
How's it going, the conference? How's it?
Great, wonderful. Yeah. The glitches are the best.
Are there fewer glitches than in person, or just different kind of glitches?
Well, just different kind of little glitches, no big glitches.
Okay.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me, Hannah, and everyone else. Thanks for hosting.
Thanks for coming. Come again.
I will. I'll be there with bells on next year.
With bells on, I like that.
To make up for these 2 missed in-person years.
I know. Yeah.
Some of us seem not to want to go.
I suppose Miriam or Claire can kick us out if they want to.
Yeah, she's the master here.
You're gonna have to kick us out.
Bye, everybody.
Take care.
Yeah, bye.
Okay.
Much love.
Bye.
See you soon.
See you. Thank you, Claire. Now
Thank
we're all
you.
alone.
So I don't